Alright everybody, we're going to continue on. This is the second video. The first video showed you guys how to make the form. Here's the form. The code, here's what it looks like for now. And then now we want it to look beautiful like this up here. Alright, so we have to start by adding some styles. Let's move this down. Here's a list of the things we're going to be doing. The first thing, box sizing. This one, I'm not going to really explain it too much right now. All I'm going to say is what box sizing does is it takes any border, if you have a border or padding or something for an element, it takes that and adds it to its width. So you don't have to try to figure out what's the width plus the padding plus the border width. You just have to worry about one thing. It just makes it easier. I'll kind of show you what it does later, but anyway, so what we're going to do is use the universal selector because we want to select every element. This is one of the few times we use the universal selector. And so box sizing, and what we want to use, set it to is border box. So that's number one, kind of a mystery, but I'll explain it a little bit better once we're done with the form. Background colors. Okay, so I want to give some things background colors. Alright, so we want the body to be a light gray, and then we want, let's see, we'll start off by doing it. Alright, so the body and background color. Now I don't want to use just type in light gray. I want to control exactly what color gray we're going to have. So I'm going to go to Google and type in color picker. And this thing pops up. So I want it to be a light gray, so I'm going to drag this guy over to the edge. And this is from white to black and all the grays in between. So let's say something like that. That's pretty good. Alright, I'll copy this hex code and paste it over here. So now, actually that's a little dark. Let me go lighter. Copy this guy and then paste it over here so you see the difference. Yeah, a little bit lighter, that's better. So the body is gray. I want the form to have a white background color. So instead of typing this out, copy, paste, change. That's the way you want to do things. This time it's white, so I'll just type white. Alright, so the body and the form have their colors. Now I want to add a couple temporary background colors. So I want to set the label to be orange. This is just temporary. And I want the input to be yellow. And I'm going to just zoom in over here so you guys can see better. Alright, so here's what we got so far. We have our colors. Alright, what next? Lining up the inputs. Okay, so you see how these two things don't line up? They're next to each other. We want to fix that. And the reason they don't line up is because username is just a teeny bit longer than password. Like if I went over here and I type some more stuff. See, however long this is, it pushes this over. So we want to fix that. So here's how we're going to fix it. We are going to take this label and give it a width. Alright, so let's go to label and give it a width of 100 pixels. Okay? And then you'll notice nothing happened. Alright, let's make it 1,000 pixels. Still nothing happened. The reason that nothing happened is because this label is an inline element. And they can't really have a width. They're supposed to be inline one after the other. So what we want to do is change it from an inline element to something else. The way you do that, use display. And you could, here you could use inline or block. We're going to use inline block, because we want it to still be in line. Let's see, it's still in line. But we want to be able to give it a width. like a block element. All right, so we'll use inline block. Now these two guys, they are the same width. All right. Next, we want all of these inputs. See, this login isn't lined up over here yet. We need to line that guy up. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing we want to do is make all three of these inputs the same width. So I go here, width 150 pixels. So they're all the same width. Okay. Now, we want this login input, this submit input, to be pushed over. How do we push this guy over? The way you're going to push this guy over is you got to add space to the left of this input. So you're adding space to the left of it. So you would use margin left. And how much space do we want to add? Well, how wide is this? The label is 100 pixels wide. So we want to push this over 100 pixels. And look, this isn't great. They all got pushed over 100 pixels. So what we want to do is only push this guy over 100 pixels. So that means we have to style this guy different from all inputs. So what we need to do is go down to the submit input, give it a class. Class equals, I want to use btn for button. There's class equals button. And come back up here, and instead of all inputs, I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to get rid of this margin left for all inputs, and for btn. Only for btn's, I'm going to add this margin left. Okay. So, now you notice they don't quite all line up right. And I'll show you why in a second. But they're all the same width. This guy's pushed over 100 pixels. And if you zoom in, oh, not too close. So right where this orange stops is where this button starts, because this is 100 pixels. And there's this little gap here between the label and the input. What is causing that gap? Let's go down to the web page and I'll show you. So like here's our label. Let me zoom out for a second. And so here's our label, here's our input. This space here is treated as one space. So I get rid of this one space. And now you can see this, there's no space here anymore. And I'll get rid of this space. And then these all are lining up now. So that space was kind of screwing things up. Alright. What next? So these are all lined up now. We've accomplished number 3. Number 4 is we want to center the forms. Alright, that'll be the last thing I do for this video. Center the form. So here's our form. Right now is just as wide as we make the page, so we need to set the width. So we go to the form, set the width. I'm going to set it to 300 pixels. And here now it's 300 pixels. Of course, remember everything is zoomed in. This is like how big it actually is. 300 pixels. And we want to center it on the page. So to center it on the page, we want to set the margin on the left and right to auto. So we set margin. And if I cared about the margin on the top or the bottom, I would have to use margin left and margin right. But I don't care, so I'm going to use auto for all 4 sides. And that'll center your div. Or center the form. Alright? Alright, so this is the end of this video. Stay tuned for the next exciting video coming up.